I've spent 30 years as a heavy-duty mechanic, so when my daughter brought home a guy who looked like he'd never seen a day of hard labor in his life, I was ready to write him off. Then, my 1970 Chevelle broke down. My daughter, Sarah, always had a thing for the academic types. When she introduced me to Julian, a PhD student in philosophy, I internally groaned. He had soft hands, wore ironed linen shirts, and talked about existentialism. I assumed he'd be useless in any real-world situation. I treated him with cold, professional politeness for months. One Saturday, I was in the garage struggling with my prized possession, a 1970 Chevelle. The starter motor was being a nightmare, and I was covered in grease, sweat, and frustration. Julian happened to drop by to pick up Sarah. Instead of staying in the AC, he walked into the sweltering garage. I expected him to make a comment about the aesthetic of the car and leave. Instead, he took off his expensive watch, rolled up his sleeves, and asked, "Is that the solenoid giving you trouble?" I blinked. "How would you know?" I grunted. He told me his dad used to restore tractors in rural Ohio, and he'd spent his childhood as a flashlight holder and wrench fetcher. He didn't wait for an invite. He slid under that car on the cold concrete. For 3 hours, we didn't talk about philosophy. We talked about torque, gear ratios, and the beauty of a V8 engine. He wasn't afraid to get grease in his hair or skin his knuckles. By the time the engine roared to life, we were both filthy and grinning like idiots. I realized Julian wasn't just a book guy. He was a guy who understood that some things in life are worth the hard work. We cracked a beer, and I told Sarah she could keep him. He's been my go-to shop partner ever since.